folks, this is the first installment of the video I'm doing regarding slicing and how it relates to the D-plane. So first we have a look at these arrows that I've drawn. The green arrow is the target line, and that just lays somewhere within the D-plane. And as we said earlier, D-plane is related to two vectors, the top vector being the club face, which is a yellow arrow, and the bottom vector being the club path, which is the red arrow. So if we have a look there, we can clearly see that the red arrow, the bottom vector being the club path, is much further offline regarding the target line than the yellow arrow. Okay, the club path may be 15 degrees left of the target, and the club face is about 5 degrees to the right of the target. Now, what causes all the side spin, if you like, which is not really accurate, its correct term is the axis, spin axis. The tilting of the spin axis on the ball is the divergence or the distance between the top vector and the bottom vector of the D-plane. So we can see that the two arrows are quite far apart there, and that's what causes all the cut spin, if you like. It creates a deflecting blow on the club face, so the ball comes off a lot slower, and it comes off with cut spin, which gets held up in the air because of all the drag and doesn't go very far. Now, the ball flight we can determine from those 2 points in the D-plane there. With a driver, straight face, not much loft, the ball will start about 85% towards the yellow arrow, being the club face, and will curve away from the swing path, which is obviously the red arrow there. So it's going to start towards the target, and then it's going to slice and cut to the right. The shot went about 20 yards to the right of the target. Well, that's where it finished. So what a lot of players do is they, instead of trying to close down the divergence between those two lines, which will create less cut spin and make the ball fly a bit straighter, they think that because the ball finished right, that they actually need to swing the club path and the club even more left, which you can see by doing that is creating more divergence, more spin, and as a result of that, the ball would finish, even more to the right, having even more cut spin on it. So I'm just going to play through this swing here. This is my attempt at making it over the top, out to in cut swing. Now, from the top of the swing here, that that orange line is the turning or turned shoulder, right shoulder plane. So I'm going to come down nearly out and above that line, so I'm coming into the ball very steep. You can see the club head's already out across the target line, and it's swinging down that red line there, far to left. I've done my best to keep the weight on the back foot, which you see a lot more. The more you keep your weight on the back foot, the more you can swing left. And that's a pretty weak slice there. So what I'm getting at is the answer, the way to fix this slice is fixing the bottom vector of the D-plane, which is a lot further offline, rather than fixing the top vector being the club face. That's only 5 degrees offline there. If you bring this back to square, there's still quite a divergence there. You're still going to create quite a lot of cut spin and lose a lot of distance on your shot. And more often than not, you can try and close the face as much as you like. If you're coming down steep and across, usually the face stays open as well. Right, so just before I sign off on this little section of the video, that wedge is the D-plane. Your ball will fly within those two lines there, within that wedge, every time. That's how wide or narrow you make that wedge determines how straight you hit it. You know, if we can get that wedge a lot closer. Bear with me for a second. So if I narrow down the bottom vector of the club path, got it swinging a bit more to the right, and I squared the club face, got that a bit more towards the target, then all of a sudden, there is the there's our D-plane vector there, the D-plane. The ball's going to fly very straight, not much side spin, and that's what the good players do. Okay, so that's what we're trying to achieve. Okay folks, this is installment 2 here. So this is after I've done a bit of practice and fixed part of the problem. You know, I've got the swing path, remember that being the bottom vector of the D-plane, the red arrow. I have that a lot closer now to the target line, and the divergence between the red arrow and the yellow arrow is a lot less. Okay, now the face didn't change that much. The face is still maybe, you know, 2 degrees open, where it was, you know, 4 or 5 degrees open before. But the big change was the club path, which has gone from about 15 degrees to the left to about 2 degrees to the left. So about a 13-degree change. Now, obviously, that is going to make a big difference to the connection on the ball, because there's not much divergence between the two. I'm going to get really compressed hit off the club face, a lot more ball speed, which is going to give me more distance. I'm also going to get a lot less cut spin, because that divergence is a lot closer together. You know, there is now the D-plane within that there, so that's pretty good dispersion, pretty good shot of it there. Okay, let's put that last line back, sorry. So the main difference is here, when I got up to the top of my swing, we'll see the change of direction as I got a lot more into the left side. We can see now that the shaft is a lot lower and underneath that orange line coming down. You know, it's a lot under, shaft's a lot lower than my right shoulder plane there. And you can see my hand and the shaft are somewhere right between the blue line and the orange line. Okay, so right into the slot to my right forearm. Okay, so that's going to allow me to get that swing path going a lot more right there, a lot more down towards the target there. Okay, so what I focused on to fix the slice is I changed the direction of the swing path, didn't worry too much about the face. Okay, so I'm going to give you 3 drills here that you can work on to try and fix the problem with swinging out to in with a club path far to left, which, as we identified in the earlier segments, is a main cause of the left to right curve on the ball that creates slicing. So this first one is just feeling like you get to the top of the swing, and as you press forward into your left side, I want you to feel like your arms are just dropping down, and you're just bringing this club straight down until it rests on top of the chair. Right? So we're not unwinding our body or spinning the shoulders or throwing the club away from you. All you're doing is you're pressing forward into your left side, and you're dropping the club down onto the box or onto the chair, whatever prop you have, and then from there you're going to unwind and turn out. Let's see on this last one, when I get to here, now I can unwind and pivot my hips and the chest towards the ball and towards the target there. Right, that's a good drill. You can see that the shaft is still quite a long way in front of my body there, which is a good feel to have when you're trying to stop coming over the top of it. So just in review again with that one, is from the top, push forward into your left side and let your arms drop down. Because if I drew that little line through my turn shoulder angle, we'll see now the club drops down underneath that orange line, getting the club right into the slot before it can go out and forward to the ball. This next one is really helping you identify this shoulder angle, this shoulder plane. Now, I've done it a wee bit steep there. It should really be pointing at the ball target line, which would be about there. But you might need a mirror to get it right the first few times. But what you're seeing here is with that stick I have across my shoulders, I'm letting my right shoulder run down that stick. So I'm keeping that right shoulder on the plane. Because remember, a plane is two intersecting angles, two intersecting lines. We'd say that one there and that one's the target line is the plane. So I'm letting that right shoulder run straight down that line. Straight down that line. Now if I do this one, the over the top move, we'll see how we actually shift the whole plane of the right shoulder over and across. Okay, you can see I haven't let go of any angle between my shaft and my right arm, and the right elbow and shoulder is far too over and steep into the ball there. It's going to create a cut across every time. I'll show you that one again. So we shifted the whole plane of our right shoulder over and to the left. And from there, it doesn't matter what you do, you're gone. You're going to be chopping across it. And the face is going to stay open because we can't release the angle between our right arm and the shaft from there. This is the correct one. This one we're going to run the right shoulder down the correct plane to delivery point, and then we could release this angle out and forward towards the ball. And finally, the last one here. Sorry. The last one here, just up against the wall, and you're trying to press the right cheek about 3 or 4 inches down the wall. So all this one's giving you is a feeling of, you can see you're moving across. You're getting your left knee directly over your left ankle, and you're loading up into your left side. Notice how I haven't rotated, I haven't turned my hips or my shoulders yet. I've pressed my weight forward. So once you press it forward about 3 inches, hold it there. It doesn't matter if you exaggerate a little bit. Feel like all that load on that left side. And then once you do it a few times, get your hands together. Make an imaginary chopper backswing position. And then feel how as you press forward, your arms drop down. So your arms would be dropping down again onto that imaginary box there. Okay, so this is good stuff. Notice how my hands, I'm not trying to jam my right elbow into my body and create all that, what people try and get lag, which is more of an effect rather than trying to do a conscious effort to do something there. My hands are just maintaining their width, right? That will allow me to time the extension of my right arm out into the ball. Okay, so I'll practice those 3 drills. If you have any questions or queries, give me a shout on the email, and hopefully I'll look forward to working with some of you soon.